Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Just to give you guys some story context, this story begins during the lockdowns of the COVID pandemic. Now, let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Step Parents, and it's by user Riotwaldrex. Stepdaughter says she hates me and wished I'd get COVID so I wouldn't be around anymore. So, I have a stepdaughter who is 14. I've been with her mother since she was 4. She doesn't see her biological father at all, his choice, and he has played no role in her life. I'm the only father figure she's really had other than her grandfather. We used to be fairly close up until she was around 12 or so, and then it was like someone had flipped a switch. She's constantly disrespectful, says hurtful things as she wishes I was dead, and even goes to great lengths to avoid seeing me or being near me. She is only ever nice to me if I have something she needs or wants, like money or if I'm making her food or something. So, her school called our house phone today to see how she was and made sure she had everything she needed to do her schoolwork as we were back in lockdown. She brought the phone back to me after the call and I asked if everything was okay. We had a semi-normal conversation about the change until she said she wanted to go back to school. I told her she couldn't as her mom is extremely vulnerable and if she got COVID and passed it on to her, she would get extremely ill. Then she says, if I passed it to you, would you survive? I said, I don't know. And she says, well, I hope you get it and don't. Then you wouldn't be around anymore. I've spoken to my wife repeatedly about the things she says and she has spoken to her, but the response she gets is that my stepdaughter hates me and always has, and anytime she's been with me, like when I took her to the football game or went out geocaching with her, she was faking enjoying spending time with me. And all those times in the past when she said she wants to call me dad was fake too. It breaks my heart. I feel like I've done something to change her view of me, but I don't know what she won't say. She won't give a reason why she says she hates me, and she always has. I tend to stay out of her way to avoid it all, which makes me sad and causes tension with my wife sometimes. Is this normal behavior? My wife says it's normal teen girl lashing out behavior, but even her friends have called her out on it when they've been around in the past and heard what she says to me. I tend to let it slide mostly, but that COVID thing was harsh. Well, P, I'm not a stepdad, but I would say that even though it is incredibly harsh and not a nice thing to hear, of course, I would kind of think it's a bit normal. Of course, it's not something that you should put up with. You can talk to your wife and maybe even talk to your stepdaughter about it. But I would say it's kind of normal because, well, it's puberty. I've got kids and they're not really close to puberty yet, but I'm preparing myself. I know I'm going to become the lamest person in the world. Somebody they don't want to talk to, they don't want to hang out with, and I'm just going to be generally boring. Until an age when they grow up and realize that they can actually talk to me. Now, in the case of your stepdaughter, yeah, she's rebelling against you and probably her mom in some way, which you don't know about. And the things she says is to get a rise out of you, to hurt you. I don't think she really means them. I do think she loves you, but this is just her way of finding herself in this tumultuous time that is puberty, which sucks. I wouldn't go through it again. Now, I assume that as a stepdad, this kind of hurts even more because, yeah, you're not their real biological father, but you're still their dad, and hearing this kind of stuff has got to hurt. So in my opinion, I would say this does kind of fit in what would be normal for a teenager, but it doesn't mean that you have to tolerate it. You should be able to let her know that you've been hurt by what she said. At least that's what I would do. And what about you guys? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes, or what do you think about this situation? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Lemon Cream Pa says, oh ouch. My gut response is this is about her bio dad. She's old enough to understand that he had a choice and knew what he chose. It's easier to project that on you. Also, her mom being vulnerable is scary for her and probably makes her feel guilt along with resentment. Add in COVID and homeschooling plus social media, she's got a lot on her preteen plate. It could be feelings bubbling up that she doesn't even know how to process yet. It comes out in angry, dark comments that are super concentrated. I was a really depressed teenager and feel so bad still for the things I said to my parents. I didn't mean them, at least not how an adult would interpret them. Hard as it is, I would suggest trying to separate yourself from who she is aiming at and acknowledge that she isn't talking to you. She's talking to her own projection of you, which is likely a weird combination of you and her dad. It might help it sting less so you can remain grounded and supportive in helping her navigate some dark stuff. And Opie responds, I'm now thinking that too. He left when my stepdaughter was 2 and her brother was 2 weeks old, so she barely knew him. She does ask about him, but as he's gone silent, we have no details of where he is and he's never reached out. He's not at his last address, and although he has contact details for us, but has never used them, nor has he ever paid any child support or anything either. My wife does not really want to see him as he was violently abusive to her, but was willing to allow him to see the kids supervised. He's never responded though. You could be right, maybe she's taking the rejection out on me. I don't react or snap back when she says these things to me. I just brush it off, but with all the anxiety about COVID going about, it hit a nerve. She knows I'll have her back whatever happens. I tell her all the time, but to go from being quite close to this, it's hard. Deleted says, in short, I don't know if it's normal or not. Some of it is, yes, the distance, the scowling, the reluctance to be around parental figures. The wishing you were dead though, geez, that's a lot. I think there is something more going on with her. Is there anyone trustworthy that she can speak to, like a therapist or counselor? It sounds like she is angry at her bio dad for abandoning her, but she is taking it out on you as you are the one who is around. I would just call her out in a calm way, whilst also making sure to reassure. So to that COVID comment, ouch, that was harsh, where did that come from? I know it's a frustrating time, but I'm not going anywhere, so maybe it would be better if we can find a way to make things easier for you. How does watching a movie with me and your mom later sound? And Opie responds, that's what I thought. There seems to be more to it, but if there is, she's not told her mom and she certainly wouldn't tell me. I've told her in the past I'd be there for her whatever she needs. I've never treated her as a stepdaughter, only as a daughter. She's been in my life so long now, I couldn't see it any other way. We do have times where we do stuff together. She loves board games and will sometimes play, and she'll forget about her animosity towards me and there will be no issues. Hell, a few weeks back, she high-fived me during the game, only to then immediately turn around in front of everyone and say, "Oh God, I touched your hand, that's disgusting." I always tell her she can talk to me and offer to be there for her, and she reacts to it normally. She'll say, "Go away," or something, but she has hesitated recently before telling me to get lost. She's not mentioned any issues at school or anything that I'm aware of. Maybe I'll get her auntie to have a word. They are close, but often her auntie says the same thing. She just doesn't like me and never has. Mama Abroad says, I agree with the commenter who said this is about her bio dad. She's angry and bitter and hurt now that she realizes he rejected her, and it's making her want to reject someone too. She's 12 and can't even understand herself on her own feelings. Maybe it's like a test. Since she is so unlovable, her real dad didn't want her, then she can easily drive away her stepdad too. Maybe deep down she is trying to drive you away before you realize how unlovable she is. Hopefully, she will get rid of it and one day accept that her bio dad left, but be deeply appreciative that the man who chose to be her dad never did. Additional information from OP's comments. My wife does tell her it's unacceptable and she's been punished. We've since had a bit of a chat and are working things out. However, with me working from home and my wife working in her office, until the end of today anyway, it's normally just me here with her brother, my stepson who I have no issues with, and my bio son. It's hard. Hopefully it is about her bio father and her projecting it onto me, and there are things we do have in common. Horror movies, board games, and geocaching strangely. And if we do these things together, she tends to forget she hates me. It's getting her to even do stuff with me in the first place that's the issue. I'll talk to my wife again tonight. It just really got me down today. Their bio dad has chosen to ignore them himself. I don't like to go into it, but he was violent and abusive to my wife when they were together. When they broke up, he took her to court for custody, after initially not bothering. Due to his violent nature, he was offered supervised visits, and several times it was all arranged and he never bothered showing up. Any communication between them has petered out as he'd make excuses or get threatening. This was when the kids were very young, before my wife met me. We're in a better place now. My stepdaughter actually even paid me a compliment today, for a change. OP's edit. Thanks for all the responses. There is so much for us to look into. Much to my surprise, she decided to spend the evening with us playing a board game with just me and my wife, which is good as it allowed us to have a proper chat. My wife got her to apologize and I told her how much that stuff hurts me. We've gone through some stuff briefly and she is very anxious about school, her life, and where she fits in the world. We think she may have anxiety as she's over worrying about things she shouldn't be and things she thought we'd be mad about but isn't really. Her choice of partner and what she wants to focus on exams wise. I've just told her I want her to be happy and whatever she chooses to do, I'll support her. Well, just like OP, I think the community really came through for him and gave him a lot of advice and a lot of things to think about. And from what OP told us in the edit, things seem to be looking up. Now, before we move on to the update and the curation of the rest of this story, let me remind you about my playlists, which all have stories that have updates. Now let's move on with the update. Well, I didn't know where to put this, but just had to put it out there. So yesterday I took my youngest, my biological son, to the park. And much to my surprise, she, my stepdaughter, wanted to come too. Cue the following conversation. She says, "Can I tell you something?" And I go, "Yes, of course." And she says, "You do know I don't actually hate you, right? I just wanted you to know that." And I respond, "Thanks for telling me. I love you too." I feel so happy now. We are in such a better place and it's a load off. Her general attitude around me is much better and I think now she knows I'm there for her, for good. It has helped. I just wanted to post this somewhere as it's brightened lockdown up so much knowing that. For anyone else, stick at it. Step parenting is so hard, but it's worth it in the end. Now yes, that was a short and very happy update for OP. However, that's not the end of this story. The next post comes 8 months after this update that we just read. So, I have posted here before about my stepdaughter and issues I've had in the past. A bit of background. Their biological father has never been in the picture. He was abusive to my wife and stepkids and left when my stepdaughter was 2 and my stepson a couple of weeks old. He's been offered supervised contact but has never bothered or just responded with threats. My wife has never asked anything from him and has never had child support or anything like that. He plays no part. I met my wife when my stepdaughter was 4 and stepson 2, and other than her granddad, wife's dad, I've been the only father figure in her life. She's now just about to turn 15. Recently, she's been getting involved with a 17-year-old boy. She's absolutely head over heels for him. They spent most of their time together, in regular contact with us when they are together due to her age. As she gets in from school, she's straight off out with him. We've let it go on as he seems a genuinely nice lad and we trust her. She's recovering from a bit of a mental health breakdown and I've never seen her happier. Recently, she's had a very bad cough and chest pains and has been under the weather. She's had 5 COVID tests provided by her school, 1 each day last week and a 6th this morning, all negative. Turns out she's got a bad chest infection after taking her to the docs. Obviously, she needs to recover and it turns out she's been hiding how bad it is from us for the last week or so and forcing herself to go to school unwell just so she can get out to see him after school. We won't let her go out if she's ill. We've also found out she's been vaping, which wouldn't help things obviously. She's also been a bit lax in taking care of herself. Little things like not having a wash or brushing her hair because she's in such a rush to get to him and missing her school lunches as she's on the phone with him all lunchtime and forgets to go get it. She will eat her dinner and stuff though. Cue today and she's feeling really bad, so we keep her off school and tell her she needs to stay in and relax. I tell her that she needs to put her feet up, watch a film or something and just relax. I'm at home, so I will be about whilst my wife is at work. Shortly after my wife has left, she asked me if she can go to her boyfriend's house. I've told her no, she needs to get better first. That's when she hits me with this. "Whatever, you have no right to tell me what to do. You aren't even my real dad. I'll just go anyway. My real dad would let me." I didn't know what to say. She's always been very funny about her biological parentage and doesn't normally mention him. As I've said here before, we've had our issues, but I was the one she came to with her mental health problems. We've been so much closer and happier, it's just come as a right kick in the guts hearing that. My one wish has always been that I met my wife earlier so I could have helped them get away sooner, or so that I could be their bio dad. If genies were real, that's what I'd wish for over wealth or beauty any day. It's absolutely crushed me. I spoke to my wife about it, and it turns out she's worried too, as my stepdaughter told her she's been looking at websites about finding missing family members. My wife has been holding off about telling her about her bio dad, but I think she needs to start, as he's very much the sort of bloke who wouldn't go through the official channels and would turn up here and get violent if he got in touch. I know we have to have the conversation someday, just didn't think it'd be so soon. Sorry for the long post and all the background, just needed to vent. Well, I know it might be a hard pill to swallow or a horrible truth to learn, but I think OP's stepdaughter should know the truth about her dad. It's not fair to her, and it isn't fair to OP. Well, at least that's what I think. Now let's move on to the final installment of this saga that OP has shared with us from the subreddit Parenting. So, I have 3 kids, a daughter of 15, a son of 13, and a son of 6. I say I have 3 kids. The older 2 are actually my stepchildren. I've been in their life now for the past 10 years. Their real dad doesn't give a crap, his choice. They are the reason I drag myself out of bed in the morning for work. I'm there cheering them on at sports day, going to parents' evenings, supporting them, picking them up when they are down, helping them, and loving them. Yet, being a stepdad, I'm always going to be an other, no matter how many times I say I'm their dad. I'm not. This was confirmed to me yesterday. I took my daughter to a doctor's appointment as she'd been unwell. Once my daughter had been seen, we were discussing what to do, and the doctor said, "Oh, you're only the stepdad," despite me being a legal guardian. Well, I'll need to confirm with her mom or dad what to prescribe. Mom or dad, so not me. Even though I've been dad for 10 years, that hammered it home. I get it, I do, but man, talk about a shot in the heart. It's like this with the school as well. They know I'm only a stepdad, and they always automatically view me with suspicion if I pick the kids up or say stuff like, "We really should get confirmation from her mother about this." I get it, the safeguarding, etc., but it's hard being a dad and not a dad at the same time. I worry about what people think of me. There always appears to be this stigma around stepdads. I shouldn't have to be, but I find myself double guessing. This is what a dad would do. Is it appropriate for a stepdad? Little things like that. But I interchange daughter and stepdaughter, and I do it with my stepson as well. I love them both unconditionally, but it's hard being an other. OP's edit. Thanks all for the kind words, it means a lot, and not going to lie, the support got me welling up. I think the doctor was just being grumpy, frustrated and whatnot. She was very old and very old-fashioned too, but we did put in a complaint in. I haven't shown my kids this, they'd die of embarrassment, but I do love them. I'm going to tell them more, I think, and go on trying to be the best father I can be to them. And I think that's the best end that we could give this story. OP just pushing forward, loving these kids, and trying to be the best father he can be to them. Because that's what you are, OP. You are their father. Congratulations. And thank you so much for sharing your story. Take care and all the best in the future. Now, let's finish this video off with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user 13apf, McDonald's Compliance. So, once upon a time, I was a McDonald's employee. They always put me on drive-thru because I was white and spoke fluent English. Yes, that's pertinent. Literally everyone was Hispanic and only like 2 people besides me spoke fluent English. So I always winged it when greeting customers and they always liked me. They'd ask about me when I was off, give me little gifts for brightening their day, etc. My manager came to me one day with a script and demanded I spoke from it. I repeatedly did not use it, and eventually she got frustrated and threatened me with a write-up if I didn't read from it. Here comes the malicious compliance. There was a typo in the script that referred to McDonald's as McDonald's. So I'd repeatedly say it, and because everyone has a headset, they'd all hear it, and the staff would chuckle because most could read English and they all got the script. My manager was not amused. She told me that I needed to say McDonald's, and I reminded her that she demanded I read from the script exactly what it says. I got sent home that day and they cut my hours. I still feel like I won. Well, you did win, OP. Your manager should learn how to write. Thank you for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.